The Book of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck is a tale of friendship, loyalty, and trust until death. It takes place near the Salinas River in California. This book is about two men, Lennie and George, who are an unlikely pair of best friends. Lennie, a large, slow man, lopes about unwittingly because he is mentally incapable of doing better. George is a sharp-looking man with a smaller stature than Lennie, but is quick-witted and sometimes even a bit cruel to Lennie. With this said, Lennie is always soon to forgive George. In the beginning of the book, Lennie and George start out sleeping in a small clearing a few miles down the road from where a bus had dropped them off. The bus driver had told them that the ranch where they would start work soon was just down the road a mile, but as it turns out, it was closer to 10 miles. While in the clearing, you learn of Lennie's obsession with stroking mice, an obsession that George finds off-putting. The obsession started with Lennie's Aunt Clara giving him the mice she found in her own home. Each of these mice would undoubtedly be crushed by Lennie's own hands when the mice would struggle and bite him. Lennie never meant to kill them, it was merely a reaction to being bitten. Before bed that night in the clearing, you hear bits and pieces of why Lennie and George had to run away from their hometown in the first place. It says that Lennie got in trouble because he startled a woman when he reached out to touch her soft hair. She then screamed, and the townsmen came looking for Lennie and George. Thus they run. Before they fall asleep that night, George tells Lennie that if he ever runs into trouble, Lennie needs to get to the clearing as fast as possible and wait for George. The next day they reach the ranch late, and their boss isn't happy with that, so they don't exactly start off on the right foot with him. After working on the ranch for a little while, Lennie runs into big trouble. Just like in their old town, Lennie wants to feel a woman's hair, so he chose the boss's wife's hair. When he accidentally pulls too hard, he panics when she tells him so. He accidentally snaps her neck in the process of trying to keep her quiet. This, mixed with other incidences on the ranch, cause him to run to the clearing to wait for George, because he now knows that he's in trouble. When George arrives in the clearing later on, he says he is not upset with Lennie. He has Lennie look across the river they slept next to not long ago and has a conversation about the ranch they were going to own someday. When Lennie tries to turn around, George refuses to let him, asking him to keep looking at the river. All the while, the ranchmen are looking for Lennie to punish him. George tells Lennie that they're going to get that ranch now, but he has to do something more drastic than run away this time. Lennie is shot out of brotherly love by his other half, George. Soon after, the ranchmen come to where they heard the shot and comfort George with promises of drinks at the ranch. This is how the book ends, with the boys heading back to the ranch, Lennie's still warm body still lying by the riverbed. While the book starts off slow, it unravels into an exciting story.